Hey, what's up, guys? So I got a video request in the comments on one of my other videos about doing a video on the day-to-day, I guess, life of being a railroad conductor. So I was out running some errands today. I'm on my 2 rest days right now, and on the way home, I figured I'd make a video along the drive. So the day-to-day life of a railroad conductor, I guess, can vary a little bit railroad to railroad. You know, if you're on a class 1 versus a short line, if you're working the UP versus the BNSF, but a lot of it is still kind of the same. So typically when you first come off of training and you become a qualified conductor, you're going to probably get assigned the extra list. What the extra list is, it's a pool of guys that you're not assigned a regular job or a local or road job, but you're on a list that will get called to fill in for vacancies on other jobs. So it can be a little hectic because you never know really when you're working for the most part. There's a few ways that when you go into the computer system, you can look up and see what vacancies are ahead of you and who's rested, and kind of have a general idea as to what you may get called for. But 9 times out of 10, unless you truly understand what you're looking at, and when you're brand new, you probably won't. You don't know. So if you're working the extra board, you can get called to work mornings, nights, weekends. Whenever they have a vacancy and it needs filled and you're the next guy that's rested, then you're the one that's going to be getting the phone call. Now, as you gain seniority, and depending on how busy your terminal is or how short they may be on manpower, you may get lucky enough to be able to temp jobs, which is basically you're just going to kind of fill in on that job for a week or two and kind of hold that job, but you're not really holding it, you're just temping it until somebody with seniority actually gets on the job and holds it. So typically your day will start with a phone call. You'll get a phone call and they'll tell you what you're being called for, like what job it is and what the reporting time is, and generally it's 2 hours to report. So I work in Lancaster Yard right now. I was forced assigned to the Lancaster extra list from Harrisburg to work down there because of how short they are in people. And I'm the only guy working the extra list right now. So I kind of get pulled for the same job every time. So I kind of know a little bit what I'm going to be doing. So you get a phone call, they'll tell you what time to report, 2-hour window, you get there, you show up, and you're working the jobs enough in training to where you understand whatever job you're getting called for, kind of what you're going to be doing. Stuff changes though, depending on who your yard master is or who has the job set up or what job didn't complete what work, and you may have to go and finish their work. So you'll get into the office and you'll get your paperwork. Depending on how your terminal is, you may have to run Amtrak, so you get Amtrak bulletins, you get your yard sheets, you get your paperwork for any dangerous cars, stuff like that you need to have with you. And then you start to review it, get a game plan together as to what you're going to be doing. And you converse with your engineer so that you're both on the same page, and then you go out and you do your work. Right now, we're working 10-hour days, roughly, between 8 and 10. They don't like us going over 10 hours right now. They're trying to kind of keep everybody at bay for hours. So 10 hours is max. We typically work about 9. 9's pretty decent. And then you're done for the day. When you mark off, you have a minimum of 10 hours of off-duty rest that you need to have before you can get called again. Now, you may go home, go to sleep, your 10 hours is up. Say, you work at 1, you work till 1 in the morning that night, your 10-hour mark will be up, about 11 o'clock the next day. And then after that, you can expect to receive a phone call. Now, depending on when your rest is over, if other, second shift or B trick crews have been called in, and you know you already missed the call window for those jobs, then you can already expect to be called later. So again, it all just comes down to being familiar with your terminal, the operations, what call windows are, and stuff like that, because that varies everywhere. Call windows for an Ola yard are vastly different than call windows from Dillard yard, and so on and so forth. So really, that's the main overview. That's the gist as to what's going to happen. Now, the life, or I should say not the life, but the work, when you come off of training, I will tell you that the first day marked up, your very first job that you're working and you don't have any supervision and you're out there by yourself, will be probably the most nerve-wracking experience that you've ever, had. I got called, I marked up that day, and I got my call at 3 o'clock saying that everything was good to go and I was officially qualified, and I got my call for actually going into work at 4, an hour later. And, as a new guy, the engineers that you've been working with in training understand that you're new and that you've just come off of training, so they're going to work with you. They're not going to hang you out to dry. It's a team effort, because if you mess up, they get in trouble too. So they're going to help you try to cover your ass the best as possible. Because again, it's their job on the line as well as yours. And they'll help you out the best, best they can. They're not going to really try to conduct from the seat, but they're going to give you a direction, at least if you're confused about something. But a lot of the work is pretty straightforward. You're moving cars from one area to another area, or you're taking them over the line of road to somewhere, point A to point B. So, if you can comprehend the basics as to what you need to do, you'll be fine. You'll be good. When you mark up and it's your first day or two out there, you will begin to fall into your own way of doing things and how you're going to approach different situations, how you're going to make up your switch lists, and how you're going to execute them, really, because the yard master who is in charge of the yard is going to give you your switch list, and 9 times out of 10 he's going to have all the cuts already labeled for you, what tracks are going to, any special instructions saying, hey, just watch out for this, or make sure that you do this on such and such track that may be a little different than what you're used to. So he'll give you the special instructions, and then you go from there, and then you just follow the work from there. You will run into weird situations that you're not used to, or special circumstances, because maybe a car has to be set a certain way and you have to make an extra move or two than what you're typically used to doing. And again, you just ask questions. It's not bad to ask questions at all. It's highly encouraged. Going into it, just off of training and going into being a qualified conductor, being nervous is a good thing. Being cautious, overly cautious, is a good thing. And they like to see that, because you're going to take your time, you're going to make sure that you execute the work properly and the way that they want it done. If you walk in there overconfident and tell them that you're not scared of anything, then they're going to worry about you, because that kind of attitude is what leads to a lot of trouble and a lot of accidents and stuff like that if you're not paying attention. I've done a lot of night work so far. Typically that's when guys like to mark off, take off. They don't want to work. So typically the extra list guys are the ones working at night and working on weekends. Night work is really challenging because everything changes on the railroad at night. You can't see anything other than what you can see with your lantern. So you have to really know your yard that you're working in, switches, locations of close clearances and stuff like that, where you can and can't ride, because it doesn't take much, a few seconds, to get caught off guard, forget where a close clearance is, and be riding on the wrong side of a car and get yourself into a really bad situation. There's a perfect example. There's a switch in Lancaster Yard. It's a switch for one of our storage tracks, and it doesn't have it has a switch stand and everything, but they put it on the wrong side. It doesn't have the actual switch indicator, like the red or green on it, and it's dark in that area, and you can't see it. So unless you know about it, and it's typically 9 times out of 10 when you approach that switch, you're always coming from the trailing side of the switch, or the trailing point side of the switch. And if you forget about it, you're going to run through it, and that's an issue. that'll get you in trouble. Running switches is a big no-no. So that's just a really easy, quick example to show you just some of the things you really need to be looking out for and how well you need to know where you're working. And you'll learn as you go more. Don't try to overwhelm yourself with all this information like track footages and car lengths as to how many cars they get on what tracks. Like, you're going to learn that over time. Don't try to run that and embed that in your head and then cause that for you to forget the basics and to forget some more of the important, smaller details that you need to know. And then after a while, it just all starts to come second nature pretty much. Your radio procedures, stuff like that. By the time that you mark up, all that stuff should be second nature to you anyway. It's just how you say the lingo, what you need to say, stuff like that. So the basic day for Norfolk Southern conductor kind of runs like that. Now that's for running on the yard. If you're doing road trains, it'll be a little bit different. You'll show up and you'll get all your paperwork together, see how your train is classed, whether or not it's like a key train, which what classifies us as a key train is anything that has a poisonous inhalation hazard car, such as like a chlorine car or any type of bad chemical car. That'll classify us as a key train. There's a few other things that will classify us as a key train if we're carrying more than 20 consecutive carloads of crude oil and stuff like that. Those are all just small, classification details. But that's all stuff you need to be looking for in your paperwork. That too is sometimes easy to be missed. And all that stuff needs to be relayed to the dispatcher as well when you go out on the main line of road. What kind of train you are, how long you are, what's your tonnage, all that good stuff. But again, that's all stuff that'll come second nature to you. So again, that's kind of the basics. One thing I forgot to mention, I guess, we run 6 days on, 2 days off. So you're allowed 6 working days, or starts, they call them, 6 starts. And then you're required to have 2 days off. And then it restarts and you go from there. So you won't always have the same 2 days off. If you start Monday, you'll work till Saturday, you'll have Sunday, Monday off. Then you'll start Tuesday, work till Sunday, have Monday, Tuesday off. And then vice versa, just kind of flip-flops from there. So one week it's like Monday, Tuesday, the following week it's Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on and so forth. So that's how that kind of basically works. But so far, working as a conductor, it's been fun. It's been a good time so far. I haven't had any bad experiences. When I got on the ground off of training, I was able to kind of hit the ground running pretty well. Didn't have any hiccups. I had a few, but that's expected. So I'm going to get off of here because I arrived at my home, and I will catch you guys later.